When you think about Oregon quarterbacks, who comes to your mind first? Maybe it's Marcus Mariota, maybe it's Justin Herbert, maybe it's Dylan Gabriel, or maybe even De'Aaron Thomas. They've had some really good quarterbacks over the many years, and you can't forget to mention and throw in there Jeremiah Masoli. What about that? That's a throwback for you. But before all these guys we just named off, there was Dennis Dixon. Here's what I'm going to label as the forgotten Oregon quarterback. You see, a lot of people don't remember that Oregon, more than likely, I know we're assuming things, would have won the national championship in 2007, and Dixon probably would have won the Heisman Trophy if he didn't have that injury. Dixon was phenomenal in that 2007 season, but ever since that year, he has essentially disappeared. There's many questions people have been asking about this guy even to this day, but however, it all circles back to the one, and I mean the one big question we're going to try to get to the bottom of in today's video. What really happened to Dennis Dixon? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you are having a great day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Dropping by real quick to say major shout out to DJ on one of the recent videos. He's the one who recommended this. He said it himself. He was an Oregon Duck fan, loved Dennis Dixon, and he disappeared. You can see it right here. Thank you for this comment, DJ, and as y'all know, your boy Matt is a fan of the people, and I give the people what they want. It's as simple as that. If you have any requests for videos like this, leave a comment down below, and who knows, we might make that video. But without further ado, that's enough jibber jabber. Let's get into it. You already know what I'm about to say next. To get into Dixon's story, we had to throw it all the way back to where things started. Coming out of high school, Dixon was pretty highly touted. He was a 4-star recruit and ranked as the second best dual threat quarterback in the entire nation. Plays high school football in the state of California. You already know how that goes. He dominated, and a lot of schools, they were going after him. But ultimately, to make a long story short, and we all know this, he would commit and sign with the Oregon Ducks. His freshman year in 2004, there's not anything to say because he didn't play much, so we're going to fast forward time into 2005. In that season, he was still primarily the backup. Who was the starter at that time without looking it up? I believe it was... what was his name? Wasn't it Clemens? I think that's who it was in Oregon. They had a fantastic season. They went 10-2. Heading into his third year, though, in 2006, he would finally win the starting job, and he never looked back. In 12 games played, he completed 61% of his passes, had 2,143 passing yards to be exact, 12 touchdowns, but here's the downside to it. 14 interceptions. Not what you like to see. That's a negative touchdown to interception ratio. Oregon didn't have the greatest of seasons. They started out okay that year, but ended on a sour note. They finished 7-6. They got blown out in the bowl game by the BYUs, 38-8. Heading into his senior year, which would be 2007, Dixon, he would take his game to a whole nother level. It was quite clear and obvious. This man was in the film room, he was in the weight room, and he was working on his accuracy. I think it's more than fair to say that Dixon had a relatively strong arm. It was just about consistency with him. In that 2007 season, he was about as good as it gets. Oregon was playing some stiff competition. They played California at the time, who was ranked 6th in the nation. They did lose to them 31-24, but that's a respectable opponent. They would then beat 12th ranked USC, and after that, upset 4th ranked Arizona State. In this matchup, Arizona State, as you can see right here, was ranked 4th in the nation. Oregon was ranked 5th. After this game, Oregon jumped up to number 2 in the polls, which meant if they went out, they're going to make the national championship. And look at who they had remaining left on their schedule. 3 unranked teams. Arizona, UCLA, and Oregon State. Here's a fun fact for you. Arizona was 5-6 that year, UCLA was 6-5, and Oregon State was 8-4. But early on in the Arizona game, disaster struck, not just for Dennis Dixon, but the Oregon Ducks. He would tear his ACL and miss the remainder of the season. Oregon would go on not just to lose to Arizona, but they got shut out against UCLA and lost to Oregon State, finished the year 8-4. Well, they finished the regular season 8-4. All in all, for that entire year, 9-4. They beat USF in the bowl game. But that season left a sour taste in everybody's mouth because Oregon, they got robbed of competing for a national championship. If Dennis Dixon stays healthy, I don't think there's much debate. I don't think anybody's going to dispute this in the comment section. He goes on to win the Heisman Trophy. But injuries are a part of the game, whether we like it or not, and Oregon has nothing to show for that amazing and awesome team they had in 2007, and Dennis Dixon doesn't have anything to show for it either because it ended on a sour note. And here's another bad thing about it that we got to talk about because it's very important to our story. With this being his final year at Oregon, he is now injured heading into the NFL draft. Terrible news. We all know this. What is one of the main causes for players falling in the draft? Injuries. Outside of injuries, it's just their attitude and behavior, but one of the big ones, health. And since Dixon was not healthy, he's coming off that ACL tear, he fell a little. Well, I say he fell a little, more so of he fell a lot. He didn't get selected until late in the draft. It was the 5th round with the 156th overall pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's still not the end of the world though, because although you fell in the draft, didn't go as high as you wanted, you're still getting an opportunity. Unfortunately for Dixon, the Steelers, they had their franchise quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, which means he wasn't going to get much of an opportunity or shot to even compete for the starting job anytime soon. In 2008, he only appeared in one game. However, in 2009, he started a game. Why did he start this game, you may ask? Great question, my friend. I'll let you answer it. Roethlisberger was hurt, and the other quarterback, Charlie Batch, he was hurt. And he almost pulled off a win against the Baltimore Ravens. He didn't have his greatest showing. They lost in overtime. He went 12 for 26, had 145 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not interceptions are all the same, though, because the one he threw, it cost him the game because it was in overtime, and the Baltimore Ravens, they took the pick and kicked the game-winning field goal. Heading into the 2010 season, though, there was a wee bit of controversy. This is when Roethlisberger was suspended for 4 games to start the season. So Dixon then found himself competing for the starting job with Byron Leftwich. Here's where things get crazy. Dixon loses a starting job to Byron, but Byron winds up getting hurt. So by default, Dennis Dixon is the starting quarterback for the Steelers to start the season. How about that? Started the first 2 games, one of those being the season opener against the Atlanta Falcons, the next one being against the Tennessee Titans, but here comes disaster back into play. Against the Titans, second game of the season, he tore his meniscus, which meant the Steelers had no choice but to place him on the injury reserve list, and that was it for the remainder of the season. We see this a lot in these story videos, and it's what I harp and preach on. A lot of times, guys are successful is just based off of opportunities, and I don't want to call it luck, but it really is. Can you and how long can you avoid the injury bug? I don't like to use the word luck because I think that's a scapegoat for losers and it's disrespecting somebody's hard work. For example, if you grind your butt off for 20 years and you make it to the MLB, the NFL, NBA, and someone calls you lucky, no, to me, that's disrespectful. He worked for it. But you know what is lucky? Something you can't control, and that's avoiding injuries. Notice when Dennis Dixon had great opportunities, he was a starting quarterback for the Oregon Ducks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Things were going great for him. He got injured both times. And I get it, whenever Ben Roethlisberger would have came back from that 4-game suspension, he would have been the starter. I already know. But what I'm saying is, if, let's just say for the sake of this video, Dennis Dixon never gets hurt and he puts out great film out there to the rest of the NFL, all these GMs look at it, they may trade for him. They may go after him. But since he tore that meniscus, there was no point of it. Anyways, moving along with our story, he would be released by the Steelers, and in 2012, he would get picked up by the Baltimore Ravens. He signed to their practice squad, got cut from it, re-signed to it. It was this whole back and forth process. But ironically enough, that was the year the Ravens won the Super Bowl, so he got a Super Bowl ring. After that year, in February 2013, he signed a 2-year contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. But late in August, during the final roster cut, he was one of those players that didn't make it. In October 2013, he would sign to the Buffalo Bills practice squad, but nothing came out of it. Fast forward time into October 2014, so exactly a year after almost, he signed to the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. But only 6 days after signing with them, he got released, and that was the end to his NFL career. So I want you to think about this. His final moment, his final down in college at Oregon was an injury. You know what his final down and final moment in play in the NFL was? An injury, when he tore that meniscus. I've covered a lot of stories on this channel. I've yet to see one as devastating as this. You can't make it up. And I'd say the great thing about Dixon's story is I know he doesn't lose sleep at night because he did everything in his power to be the best version of himself. For example, I don't know how guys like Johnny Manziel sleep at night because he didn't make it because he didn't work hard. But guys like Dixon, if you don't make it just because of injuries, it's easy to sleep at night because you know you put in the work. It's just, and I've been through it myself, White Randy, the glory days. You can love the game all you want, but sometimes the game doesn't love you back. And it's a good testimony to prove that, I'm not saying it should be this way, but it is. Life's not fair. If you haven't figured out that life's not fair, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, buddy. One day, you will. Continuing along our story, it doesn't have a sad ending. It's actually a good one. After getting done with football in 2014, he would start up his own company. It's called Dixon Fit. It was a training program. He still has that company till this day. That's what he does, and he trains kids to be quarterbacks. To dumb this down, he's a trainer. I should have just came out and said that. I don't know why I didn't. He is very active on social media. He has over 2,000 posts. I'll pop up his Instagram on the screen right here so you can check it out for yourself. I'm not going to bore you with all that, but I did scroll through his Instagram just to see what he was posting, and there's one thing for sure. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's got a sense of purpose, good direction, seems like a very humble and genuine guy. I love to see it. To Dennis Dixon, if you're somehow, someway seeing this video, my brother, wishing him best of luck, and I hope you continue to see a lot of success. But yeah, I don't think we need to sit up here and dissect and talk about why his career didn't work out. Injuries. Simple as that. It is cool to see that he's giving back to the game and he's training. There's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not pride in that, but I guess I'd say fulfillment. It's kind of like being a teacher to the youth. There's something about teaching the younger generation that makes your heart warm. Many more things I could say. Want it off here. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below.